Hey there, it's Coach KG here, and if you're looking to learn more about one-on-one coaching and how we can guarantee your results, we have an entire website dedicated to show you more information. There's no strings attached. First link down below, it's colossusfitness.com. Make sure to check it out, and it only takes a few minutes to submit an application. We'll get back to you as soon as we can with how we can further support you, the rates we have for our program, and how we can guarantee your results. So we can't wait to hear from you. Fill out that application and into the episode.
Yo, welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And we got a banger plan for you today. Take it away, Kyle.
Yeah, this was inspired by just going to the gym and hearing a lot of, locker room talk and just there's still so many myths out there. I feel like the longer I've been in the industry, I thought they would go away, but it really does seem like it's actually getting worse. And the first thing, and I'm going to start off with, is just the fear mongering. So the number one common myth is that carbs are bad for you, fats are bad for you, sodium's bad for you, sugar's bad for you, fruit's bad for you. Everything's bad for you. And so that's not the case at all. If we listen to all these claims of the TikTokers, the Instagram guys, whatever it is, we would literally be eating nothing. And I truly do believe that everything in moderation does make sense and does have its purpose. But now it's getting worse than ever. And I think it's because a lot of these people know that they're going to get a bigger reaction, which is going to result in more comments and then more people checking out their page. And then it's a cycle that these guys know what they're doing, but you really have to be careful with what you consume, what you follow. And when you see these people making these crazy bold claims about how this horrible thing's bad for you, just try to ignore it. It is okay to sometimes think, where is this person coming from? Because there definitely are some things where they really aren't the greatest thing for you. But at the same time, I truly believe that, if you want to fit a donut in, that's totally fine. We can make it work, and that's going to help with sustainability. I could talk about this all day, but the first thing is that the thing that they say is bad for you, it's not exactly going to be true, and that's going to be myth number one busted.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into my tip, which is that you should only be eating clean. And with what Kyle said, sodium has its purpose. Sodium can actually help with pumps. There's reasons you'll actually sometimes take salt in particular, especially for hydration purposes. A lot of that is around sodium, and people are quick to demonize it. And you can have a pretty healthy amount of sodium in your diet as long as you're drinking enough water. And there's been a lot of studies on this. It's just very easy to demonize something immediately. Now, am I eating only processed, super dense sodium foods? Not ideally. That wouldn't be a core of what I do. Will I die if I eat those noodles I used to eat at recess? I forget what they're called as a kid. Mr. Noodles, those packaged noodles. I'm not going to die. Is it the most quality food? Would I be better off eating clean food? Absolutely, but it doesn't mean you need to. Sugar is the same thing. You can have a reasonable amount of sugar each day. It has a purpose. Sugar can be used as a fuel. And it's funny, actually, for those that watch football, there's an athlete called, his name's DK Metcalf, and he's probably one of the biggest, most jacked dudes. I believe it was him. If I'm wrong, I'm curious. I'll check it out after. But he had mentioned how he'll usually eat one meal in the day and the rest of it will just be candy. He'll eat a ton of candy. And naturally, I could say, wow, I want to look like him. Candy's what I need. And that's not at all what I need. He can have more sugar because sugar will be converted to glycogen the easiest. And that will be fuel for someone who's probably doing 3 practices a day, a weight training session, and a scrimmage. This is someone who burns an extraordinary amount of food and get away with it, and this wouldn't work for you. And this is why you shouldn't be having excessive amounts of sugar either. This can have its problems, but to have a treat here and there is absolutely okay and isn't going to make you melt away or absolutely kill your gains. In fact, from an aesthetic standpoint, you could eat a lot of sugar, a lot of processed fatty foods, and look quite good as long as you're in a deficit, you're training hard, and you're hitting your protein. Aesthetically, you would look good. You wouldn't feel good. This would be like a show pony, if you will. You'd be looking real good, but you wouldn't be able to perform because these foods wouldn't empower you. They'd make you feel worse. They would break you down, not build you up. And that's where it's a double-edged sword. So that's why we recommend the general rule of thumb about 80% whole hearty foods. In a perfect world, you would eat 100% clean. You'd probably feel your best. You'd probably have the best digestion, but it's just not realistic. And the downside of having a fun snack here and there is so much better psychologically. We live in a place where all these incredible foods, and finding your personal level of balance with that will be so much better than making these maxims, eating clean for 4 days, messing up, and then going off the deep end and punishing yourself and creating really unhealthy habits than establishing balance with these things.
Yeah, and this isn't exactly a statistic, but I would argue that a lot of the people who have the intention of just fully eating clean are those who do rebounds. They go off the deep end. Any chance they get to eat something super, enjoyable that they don't usually incorporate, they just go above and beyond and go absolutely nuts. So that is something to be mindful of. Eat as healthy as you can, but still be realistic and make such a big difference. Now, number 3 here, a common myth. Fasting boosts metabolism and is the number one fat loss tool. So it seems like everyone is still talking about fasting, and there definitely can be some benefits. It can be a tool used to control energy to intake, but it really isn't magic. So really what makes a difference is at the end of the day, when you check out, how many calories did you consume? How many did you burn? Now, fasting can definitely help you stay within a controlled intake as you're going to be eating for less time, but it's not what some of these people claim to be. They say all these crazy things like you burn more calories that way. And yes, it does reduce energy expenditure in the short term, but that's only a short-term measure, not a long-term metric. So it is something to be mindful of. Like, once again, you can add it in, but it is no magic thing that a lot of these, people build their brand around that. They're the fasting kings. That's what they incorporate. That's how they got to see all this great success. But realistically, it's just not magic. And that's going to be myth number 3 busted.
Number 4 myth is that high protein diets damage your kidneys. This one's been peddled around quite a lot. Someone says it once and it's amazing how it spreads like wildfire. This is being greatly disproven, and for you to have any measurable effect on your kidney, you'd have to eat an absolutely impossible level of protein. And protein actually provides numerous health benefits, and it's been great seeing even just the recommendations change to be more protein heavy, and it's great seeing people awaken to this and to the benefits that come around a protein rich diet. So this one's busted. It's just a myth. I think people will use this as an excuse as to not eating any protein, but this is just been proven false.
Yeah, and next up, number 5 is just going to be the fact that some people say you can't lose weight because of starvation mode, and I can promise you that there's nobody out there who's eating too little that's not actually seen fat loss. And this is something, I don't know where it came from, but I still see videos being made about it. It's like your calories are too low, you're in starvation mode, they just kind of make up all this little stuff here, and it's 100% false. And really the biggest thing is a calorie deficit will always result in weight loss over time. You can't argue the law of thermodynamics, and it does apply to everybody. Calories in versus calories out is the most important thing to fat loss. And if there is someone out there saying that, their metabolism's messed up in the sense where it's like, I'm eating, 1,000 calories and I'm not seeing any change, for the most part, it's probably that they're actually inaccurately logging their calories. It's possible that someone is eating or thinks they're eating 1,000 calories, but they're just not tracking properly and they're having 1,700. I've seen it way too often. People who don't use measuring cups, who don't use food scales, who guess everything, who go out to eat a lot. It's very, very common, but I can promise you it's not starvation mode that's causing you to not lose weight or to even potentially gain weight.
Yeah, and my next biggest myth is that eating before bed will cause weight gain. This is a double-edged sword, and you'll notice that all of these do have some truth on them, right? Even for this one, as I mentioned with the protein, if you have too much of anything, it will be bad for you. This is a matter of fact. Multiple people have died from hazing incidents where they've been forced to drink too much water. Does this naturally mean, can I just say, oh, water can kill me, I shouldn't drink much water, I need to be careful how much I drink? I'm never going to get to that level. Your body's going to stop you at that degree, and most of these things are excessive notes that can be thrown out of proportion. So for example, the eating before bed causes more weight gain or more weight to your hips or more fat gain in particular is just being proven false. The negative eating before bed is most often we have the least willpower. This is usually the most snacky food. And then in that metric, this would cause you to gain more weight because it's a time perhaps you don't need to be eating. But there's nothing magical about this time that would cause it to be taken as more fat. If I needed calories and I had them late at night, I would do that. The only downside perhaps could be some digestion issues and could impact my sleep ever so slightly, but it wouldn't be anything overly worrying about. So this one, I know people say no carbs after this certain time. This has just been disproven as well, and don't put stock in it.
Yeah, so many people, and I remember looking into the studies back when I was learning more about this, because I was like, why is it that people are saying this? It was just that they think that you stop burning calories as you sleep, but you burn calories doing anything. Like me recording here, I'm burning a bunch of calories, even though I'm not exercising. When you sleep, it's not like your body just shuts down down and doesn't do anything. So it's a common myth, and at least this one's not as common as the other ones. It seems like this one's kind of going away, but I still hear it from time to time of someone like, hey, I got to stop at 7, like I got a hard cutoff. And yeah, it's not really the case, and it doesn't actually make that big of a difference. Now, last but not least, I have heard this quite often, is that all calories are the same. So working off of the flexible dieting example and whatnot that we were talking about earlier, you do really still have to pay attention to how something makes you feel, what's included within each food in terms of just like the overall, I guess you could say, benefits. Like I'll do 2 examples. I'll say, that bag of candy versus just like a ton of fruit. They actually may end up being the same amount of calories. Like let's say, a small little bag of candy and then fruit, a couple hundred calories if you have a lot of fruit, but it's going to be completely different in the way that it makes you feel, what you crave afterwards, how it leaves you feeling satiated. For example, berries will have antioxidants and all these incredible benefits. Candy won't. So with that being said, you can have 2 people hitting the same amount of calories within a day. One person may be starving, one person may not be. One person may be having really healthy foods that's going to benefit them. The other person may not be. So it is very easy to fudge the numbers within flexible dieting of just like, oh, well, I'm hitting my numbers. It can be hard if you're having a lot of protein. It's very hard to hit those numbers and have a bunch of garbage, but I've done it before and I've seen a lot of people do it as well. So really pay attention to that, because the quality of food will just leave you feeling so much better. And it's something that is, in my opinion, quite underrated.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in with us today. You've learned some myths and we have shattered them. If you want to learn more about what we do and how we can help you reach your results faster, one-on-one with no BS and the direct instructions you need to see your goal physique to actually achieve success, check out our website. No pressure at all. You can learn more about what we do, why we have 4,500 transformations, why our coaching is fully guaranteed, and I look forward to you being our next success story. Peace out.